How do you transform a colossal church into a futuristic house? Or turn a dilapidated old barn into a stylish family home? From industrial workshops to crumbling cottages, this series follows brave homeowners.
There is a chance that they might not fit, so it's a little bit scary.
As they take on the seemingly impossible challenges.
If it goes either way, it could really damage the window.
There you go.
Of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the ancient master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an historic home.
Well, that'll last for hundreds of years.
In this episode, the challenge is on. To save,
They've used this just to support the still.
restore,
We have to find these. I don't know how far I'll have to go, but I have to find them.
and future-proof
It's impossible for them to get a good energy rating because they're an old building.
this crumbling 19th century coach house into a 21st century dream home.
If we do this right, this will last over 100 years.
The majestic and historical county of Kent, often described as the Garden of England for its abundance of orchards and hop gardens. Farmers have worked the land here for hundreds of years. And dotted across this landscape, there's a wealth of agricultural buildings. From barns and oast houses to farmsteads and stables, all just waiting to be given a new lease of life. Among them is this 1860s Grade II listed coach house with attached garage and stable block. It was bought by Lucy when she decamped from London to Kent in 2001. The two-storey coach house was used as living accommodation for the coachman and his family. The central space was used to store the carriages, and the building on the far end was once a stable where horses would sleep, known as a loose box.
I know that when this was part of a bigger sale of an estate back in the sort of 70s, early 80s, and the people who bought it then, I think, did some work in there.
It's taken 18 months to secure planning permission and start work to transform these Grade II listed historic structures into a living space.
My mother was unwell, so she was going to come down and live nearby. And unfortunately, by the time we got planning permission, she'd actually had to go into a nursing home, so that didn't quite work out as planned.
Lucy's plan now is to transform this rickety old space into a cosy new home for her extended family and friends to stay when they visit.
So our plans for the coach house are the big garage area and the two loose box areas, to bring them into residential use so we can make a downstairs area that is really as close to being on one level.
She's keen to keep as many of the building's historic features as possible.
It's got these two big double doors, and they're quite striking, quite a good feature. So we want to keep those in the design, but put in some big windows behind those that once you open the garage doors out, you'd be able to sort of get the light in. The planning applications also got requests for skylights to go above. And again, in the loose box area, where the loose box doors were, we'll be putting in full-height windows.
Lucy's ideas for the coach house are forward-thinking. She hopes to install an air source heat pump to heat the house and provide hot water. Sustainability is at the heart of her plans, mirroring the efforts of many countries around the world for homes to be heated and powered by emissions-free sources of fuel to help reach net zero targets.
This building was originally all heated by Cala gas tanks, LPG, and we've got no other gas, and you don't want to do that anymore anyway, and there's no room for an oil tank, but you wouldn't want to do that anyway. And there's so many old buildings that it's impossible for them to get a good energy rating because they're an old building.
Lucy plans to retain all the exterior features and restore the garage doors, which will conceal a new set of glass patio doors. Inside, the original coach house will become the social hub, with a modern cosy snug, utility room and bathroom downstairs. Upstairs, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom will maximise every inch of space. The garage will become a contemporary open-plan kitchen, dining and lounge area, while the adjacent stable block will become a master bedroom and ensuite. Solar tiles on the roof will add to the energy efficiency and help bring this 19th century dwelling firmly into the 21st century. It's early winter and work is well underway. Converting and future-proofing this delicate 1860s building will be no simple task. It requires experience and an in-depth knowledge of restoring historic structures, complete with a specialist skill set and determination to source materials which can be hard to locate. With 40 years' experience under his tool belt, Stuart Benjamin is the person for the job.
Some people say, where'd you get your passion from? This is it. This is what gets me up in the morning.
Stuart's plan is to complete this build in under 6 months. His first challenge is to bolster the strength of this rickety timber and brick building. Remedial repairs made around 30 years ago have kept the building propped up until now. But these works aren't up to today's building standards and need fixing.
You can see new timber here as a packer, and this is the steel joist. And what they have done is they put these steel joists in to stop the roof from collapsing. I'm not really happy with the packers here. I can actually move that, if you see, which ain't good. It's actually not doing anything.
Stuart's plan is to erect a new steel frame within the old structure to take the pressure off the brittle brick walls. 4 vertical steel posts will take the weight of the existing roof beams, so they are supported independently from the original walls. In the roof, new beams and joists will create a framework to carry the additional weight of new insulation and plasterboard. This work will ensure the building stands strong for another 160 years. First, Stuart must drill out some old bricks to cut a channel into the original wall.
And there we go. Perfect. So as you can see, this is old lime and cement, and I know it's lime and cement because of the colour of it. I am not a scientist, but I would say this dates back to the day that this building was built, probably in 1862.
The higher he gets, the more Stuart becomes concerned about the effect this work is having on the crumbling old walls.
This bit I'm not looking to rush. I'm going to chop away this brick and I want to take this down gently. These bricks are so soft, it's actually easier for me to do this. Chop that up, and then this brick should nicely come out. There we go. Ah, they've used this just to support the steel.
With the channel cut, Stuart's team can line up the new steel support column.
That top plate's got to come offset a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's fine. As long as we get them 4 bolts in, I'm happy.
What makes this job particularly tricky is that the team are having to link up this new post to an existing older roof beam.
Normally, the steel's going first at every job. So you put your steels in and you build to it or build above it. But with here, where we only are taking out a chase, he's sort of limited for room. So it makes it a little bit more complicated. If you look up there, that existing steel sort of goes at an angle. And my top plate is square. So I need to tweak my post a little bit. So we're like that. Well, be careful, Nick. Yep, to the left, figures. Now do it. Perfect, mate. Well done.
With the post in position, they use a specialist bit of kit called a magnetic drill to cut 4 holes into the steel beam.
As soon as you turn the switch on, it electrifies this base plate and magnifies it, and you will not shift that until you turn the power off, and it just comes away.
It's a nervous wait to see if all the holes marry up perfectly.
Just do that hand tight for now, because we might need to adjust the steel.
Please tell me the best news of the day. If you look at my level, once I give it a little push, my level down here, that's bang on.
The top plate is in place, but bolting the base plate is not as straightforward.
Please go in. And obviously, I've only got the bolts at the top and we're fixing the bolts at the bottom. We still need enough play so we can move it to get it plumb. That's done. The washer.
Yes, on there.
Oh, you done all right, Ev?
Happy?
Yeah, happy. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Lovely, start.
The first posts may now be level and flush with the wall, but there are still 3 more support columns to fit before the first job here is done.
If we do this right, which we will, and this will last over 100 years plus, 200 years, it will not go nowhere.
It's not just the brittle walls of this 1860s relic that require strengthening. Back in the 1800s, building regulations were in their infancy, and the coach house has no real foundations. It's basically just sitting on clay. So the team need to pour and cast concrete supports beneath the building to give it extra strength before interior work can begin.
We call it hit and miss. So you'll dig a hole, miss, dig a hole, miss, dig a hole, and so on and so on and so on. Then building control will come in, have a look at the hole, say, yes, fine to pour. Then we fill the concrete.
This is a crucial milestone for Stuart and his team. Their plans to strengthen the base of the building must pass inspection so the next stage of Lucy's epic restoration project can take place and the build remain on track. It's now the middle of winter. For the past month, Stuart's team has been racing to install structural supports and firm up the crumbling foundations.
The idea of this is to make sure we don't cause any movement than what's already happened.
Today, they're about to find out if all the hard work has paid off. The building control inspector is coming to site to check the foundations. But if they're not signed off, the entire project will be delayed.
Stuart?
How are we doing there? You all right?
I'm fine.
So we're doing underpinning here. What do you think?
Stuart's team have dug 10 1-metre-long trenches that are half a metre wide and deep. If building control are happy with the dig, they can move forward to lay 3 steel reinforcing bars into each side of the 10 holes and fill each of the trenches with concrete. Then they'll ram a dry sand cement packing mortar between the top of each pad and the underside of the brick wall to support it. Once done, they can then dig out the remaining soil and repeat the process to completely support the historic wall.
That's fine. That's the engineer's design, isn't it? So no problem.
No problem.
So it's good material.
So
Happy with the pour.
perfect.
It's great news for the build team.
He's checked all the stability of the clay and the depth and made sure everything's fine. And he's given me the go-ahead. So I'm really happy.
Stuart has a passion for projects like this. He's overseen the restoration and renovation of more than 20 historic buildings across the southeast of England. Back in 2018, he restored this 19th century oast house in Kent, transforming it into a home for 81-year-old Hazel Harwood. She'd been living in the adjacent family farmhouse for nearly 60 years. 5 years ago, she decided it was time to downsize, so she sold the farmhouse and set out to restore the old oast house into a new, smaller home. Hazel's vision was to radically transform the oast house by gutting the barn to create a raised ground floor kitchen, dining and living area. Above it, she put in another floor to house a bedroom and an office. In the west roundel, Stuart's team installed a staircase leading to the upper floor and reconfigured the east roundel into a lounge and spare bedroom. This building's unusually shaped rooms and the need to master the century-old crafts originally used to construct it tested Stuart's team to the limit.
We're literally building a building with inside a building. We're scared in case it all collapses.
Rebuilding and resurrecting the oast house's most iconic feature, its roof and cowls, proved equally challenging.
We try and keep it as original as possible, and that's pretty much the same as it was 100 years ago.
It took 7 months for Stuart and his team to transform Hazel's oast house into a comfortable family home, with the resplendent cowls sitting majestically on top. By a mix of hard work and fine craftsmanship, this old farm workhouse makes a really unusual and cosy living space.
Years ago, my husband used to say that would make a nice house, the oast. And it's come true.
"5 years on, and Hazel's as thrilled with her home now as when she first moved in.
It's turned out nice, and I'm pleased we've done it. It's all nice and new and fresh. It has come out nice. Staying here in the daytime, then go in here like tea time afterwards, you know, and it's all open. It's a nice house to live in.
Hazel's still got the bug for historic restorations.
We had a barn over there, and then we renovated that. Same lads that did this one, you see, so you got to know them, which are very nice. If you see these old barns falling to pieces, when they've been restored, it's lovely to have them still here and being looked after and lived in.
Back at the coach house, it's the start of a new year and the beginning of the next important stage in this build. It's taken Stuart's team 4 weeks longer than originally planned to firm up the walls and foundations. Now attention has turned to the roof. At the start of the build, Stuart discovered that there were actually 2 internal timber structures in place. The first, original timbers, were actually sourced from hedgerows. Hedgerows are a combination of woody vegetation and trees, often mature and older specimens like oaks. Traditionally, builders would use trees from their local area for construction. This wood is not only beautiful, but very strong and resilient. It's one of the most environmentally sustainable building materials. The second, more modern structure is built from industrially grown softwood, which dates back around 50 years. Both were installed when the accommodation was purely for horses, but now it has to meet modern building standards. Stuart's decided the best course of action is to leave the existing timbers untouched and build another structural frame inside the older ones. 6 months into the build, the concrete floor slab is in place. Electrician Dave makes a start on the first fix, wiring up the building, while carpenter Rory begins to build the internal timber partition walls.
And we're just checking to make sure the room is square and we line up with our marks.
Sustainability is at the forefront of this restoration, and outside, builder Stuart is keen to embrace new technologies.
Hopefully we'll be using this new and improved solar panel tile. It's not a product that we've used before. I feel like a kid with a new toy. New product, it's going to look so much better than having your traditional solar panel. So once we strip the roof and we put these tiles on, you won't even know that it's a solar panel tile, which is great for us.
Solar panels are actually photovoltaic or PV panels, and they generate electricity from the sun. Traditionally, they were large sheets of silicon wafers with a glass panel over the top and were mounted on the top or roof of a building, so they could have quite an impact on its appearance. But there's a new generation of PV panels called solar tiles, and these are designed to look much more like traditional roofing, slate or roof tiles. They are currently quite expensive and less efficient, so you need a slightly larger area to generate the same amount of power. But they look much more in keeping with older buildings, so are perfect for conservation areas and heritage buildings like the coach house. This new tech is part of the future of home restoration. However, as this is a listed building, Stuart will need permission from the Conservation Department before he can install Lucy's much desired solar roof tiles.
At the back of the room here, there's going to be a screened off area, and that's going to be the plant room. So that's going to have the water tank for the air source heat pump and all the plant and electric materials for the solar PV. We're trying to be as eco as possible, and yeah, going to be big changes.
Coach houses like this one have a rich history. This form of building dates back to the 17th century. They were made up of a mixture of structures: stables for the horses, a garage for the carriage, while the main building provided a cosy living space, a place for the coachman to rest and sleep. Over time, these utilitarian structures became a symbol of status and wealth, as only the affluent could afford to own carriages and maintain a coach house. With their adaptable period details, there's no doubt coach houses offer a unique opportunity to create a contemporary building that also pays homage to its previous working life. This spectacular coach house in Brockley, southeast London, is home to architect Hannah Campbell and her family. They transformed the derelict structure into a sumptuous living space back in 2015.
The coach house was built in 1836. It's really set back from the road, and we kind of feel like we're very tucked away, which we feel quite special about, especially in London.
Seeing the finished design, it's hard to visualize its original guise, but it took extraordinary vision and a real leap of faith to create a home this breathtaking.
My husband and I particularly love modern things, and I guess when we never envisaged living somewhere so traditional. But again, that's part of the charm. For this coach house, we wanted to preserve as much of the original fabric as we could. But when we got onto site with the builders, we knew that we weren't going to be able to keep everything, which was quite heartbreaking at times. But we did manage to keep things like the doors, lots of exposed brickwork, lots of timber posts.
Having been won over by the history of the building, Hannah kept her plans for the home simple, subtle, and minimal.
Plywood for us was the obvious choice. It's really sustainable, beautiful, it's warm, it's easy to live with and easy to clean and really long-lasting. We've got concrete floors, which the coach house had before. We also, upstairs, we added cork floors throughout, which was a lovely addition.
With its beautiful blend of period appeal and pared-back modern styling, this family home showcases the very best of what's possible if you ever thought about doing up a coach house of your own.
Before we got on site, it'd been 3 years in the making. And so it's only probably now, almost 5 years on, that you really sit back and actually realise what you've achieved. We really love living here. It's a real joy, actually, and a real privilege.
In Kent, As Lucy's coach house and stables are Grade 2 listed, every decision that could affect the character of the exterior is subject to both planning and listed building consent. And today, Stuart's received some excellent news.
Had our solar panel tiles approved. Amazing. Client's been waiting about 6 to 7 months. We've sent these off, and we've been waiting all this time. Now they've been approved. We've never used them before, and I can't wait to use them. It's going to be a fantastic look, and it brings all the energy back into the property.
Stuart's also working with carpenters Brad and Rory to improve the building's natural light.
Where we're standing is the kitchen dining room. Nice, great big glazed windows. Oozes light. 2 roof lights.
Yes.
And then we've got a new window coming in here.
Yes.
Oozes light through the kitchens. And this is all going to be done within a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, great answer. That's all I want to hear. Perfect.
The first window to go in is an electric-controlled roof light in the open plan space that was previously the garage. The roof light has been specifically designed to blend in with the period of the home. It's black, sits flush to the roof tiles, and has a vertical glazing bar to help it merge nicely into the original roof.
That's it.
It's really nice to see the progression going on here. We've started to put the stud walls up. Within the next month, I want to see a massive transformation. We've got all the roof lights going in, all the full height glazed doors and windows going in. So that's why we're so keen to crack on.
This project is all about maintaining the integrity of the historic building and reusing old materials where possible. But Stuart's running into problems with these special clay blocks that cover the ground around the stable. They're called Staffordshire Blues, and that's because when the county's local clay is fired, it takes on a deep blue colour that is very hard-wearing and impervious to water. Stuart's team need to remove the fired clay blocks to complete the groundworks and drainage, then relay them on top.
These are the original stable blocks for the horses. Hard-wearing, been here forever, probably since the building's been built. We've kept the majority of them. We've taken them up, put drainage in, then replaced them. But we had a few breakage. So we have to go to reclaim places. We just want to be able to look at this as if no one's touched it. We'll get there. I'm pretty confident. This is the challenges that we have when we deal with these properties. We have to find these. I don't know how far I'll have to go, but I have to find them.
The team really have their work cut out if they're going to finish this build in less than 3 months. It's now early spring in Kent, and work is well underway to transform Lucy's 1860s Grade 2 listed coach house into a home for her family. One of the biggest challenges is to transform the old garage and stable blocks into comfy living spaces.
The planning plan was to convert the garage and the 2 stable blocks and have some sort of horizontal living there. You know, I've got 3 grown-up children. When they come to stay, it might be a nice place for them to be with us.
It's taken 7 months for builder Stuart and his team to prepare this space and finish constructing, plastering and undercoating all the interior stud walls. With Stuart off to work on another project, the next team of trades arrive. The plumbing and electrics are going in. In the kitchen, Lucy wants to keep the integrity of the old walls and ceilings, which means fitter Aaron has a tough job ahead as nothing's level.
This is a computer view, black and white, obviously, for the finished kitchen. And that's just the plan view, showing the outer square corner we have to contend with. It doesn't show the bow in the back wall at the moment.
It's a job that would take a lot of detailed planning to get right.
Just trying to fit square cupboards in unsquare buildings. It's never simple.
The wonky walls also make the plumber's job tougher too.
All the toilet sits on these wall-hung toilets is on these 2 bolts here, which you screw in from the top. But it can be quite a fiddly kind of job. So it's a case of putting it on, offering it up, seeing if it fits, and then you've got to take it back off if it doesn't. So it can be a stop-start kind of job.
Everywhere you look on this project, you can see how hard Lucy's working to enhance the energy performance whilst preserving the building's unique charm and character. Lucy's installing an air source heat pump, which is an efficient and eco-friendly alternative to her old Calagas bottles. And her plans to have solar roof tiles to help generate electricity are at the forefront of sustainability. The skylight she's chosen will flood the kitchen with natural light and help reduce energy bills. Maximising the amount of daylight into what can be pretty dark spaces while preserving the historic integrity of a building can be a challenge. Changing the size of a window increases the amount of light it takes in and turns dark, unused buildings into contemporary, bright dwellings. Adding internal windows enables light to travel through large, cavernous spaces. Metal, steel, or aluminium frames all create a sleek and industrial aesthetic. Their slim profiles allow for larger glass area and require minimal maintenance. Opaque or stained glass creates a soft, multicolored illumination and adds a sense of transcendence to the environment. It's now 10 months into Lucy's coach house build, and while the plumbers have been motoring on,
this is the new pipework here. We've cut into the existing system here. Cover it all up today with floorboards and maybe a bit of lagging, and that's it.
the carpentry team still have a bit of work to do. And apprentice Brad is getting a crash course in how to hang a door from boss Rory.
He's been with me about a year now, and he's just, well, still learning, Martin.
Still learning, mate, yeah. Every day's a school day.
We now need to chamfer this.
Right. Yeah, you can see it diving down there, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah. Is it all right?
It is perfect. I'm happy. Good.
Good news for Brad, but he's still got another 10 doors to fit.
Just drill your pipe hole a bit deeper.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In the kitchen, fitter Aaron is still battling with the wonky walls.
If you get a barn or an older building like this, then you just have to go with it.
It may have taken 4 times longer than fitting a kitchen in a new build, but the cabinets are almost in and walls ready for tiling. Leaving Brad to continue with the new internal doors, outside, carpenter Rory needs all his years of experience to restore the original garage doors. If Lucy chooses to close these doors to shade or cover the new windows, this side will be visible from the kitchen.
These doors really need a lot of work doing to them, because when we close the doors, when you're in the kitchen of the build and you look out, you're still going to see this, and this has got to be absolutely top-notch, because it's going to be seen a lot of the time.
There's over 160 years of built-up paint on these historic doors, and getting it off is proving tricky.
So we tried good old sander with a really coarse disc on it. It was okay. Would take probably a whole day to do this one side with that. And the next method is to actually burn it off. So I've got the gas bottle. I think this might be the preferred method of burning it off. And then go over it again with the sander. I've got lots to do. Lots and lots.
It's been a year since Lucy set out to transform her crumbling 19th century coach house into a modern, sustainable home. Making any old building fit for the future is not easy. There are many different competing elements to bring together. For this coach house restoration project, it's making the 160-year-old building structurally sound, then fitting it out for the future with lots of insulation, low-carbon heating and energy sources. Lucy's aim was to retain the authenticity of this majestic building, and the result is spectacular. The coach house is now a calm and relaxing space, with a living room downstairs and 2 bedrooms upstairs. The stable where horses once slept is now an ensuite bedroom of a different kind. And what was once a building used to store the carriage has been transformed into a spacious kitchen diner. The confident use of coloured worktops, splashback, and bold geometric flooring complements the subtle hues of the cupboards and walls. And it's all quietly hidden away behind the original coach and garage doors, which have been lovingly restored.
If you want to watch the world go by, you can have the doors open. If you want to be a bit more private, pull them in and, snuggle down.
And the surprise is when you open them, we've got these fantastic full-height doors. They let the light just embrace this room, together with the opening skylights. And also we had permission to put in a new window on the north side. We look out the window here, and what are we seeing? We're seeing, green plants, and I can see dock seeds in the hedgerow there that pick out the same colours as the worktop. During the build, it was clear we had to raise the floor in here. And so suddenly, you're at the height that the ceiling is coming down, and that meant that we couldn't use an overhead extractor. So we needed to find a hob that had its own extraction. This one really appealed to us because it sucks everything down the centre, and then anything that doesn't stay in the little pot is so tiny that it has a little vent at the bottom. But the main thing about it is it didn't take up much room underneath. Pantry, we've never had one of these cupboards before, but look at that. That's such fun. And you can adjust it, so you can put these shelves at whatever height you like. It's not, prescribed.
The contemporary decoration continues off the kitchen in the utility area, downstairs toilet, and down the light-filled corridor.
Here we are in the new bedroom. So the main thing in this room was obviously, it's a bedroom. It needs to feel cosy and warm. But in terms of the sort of style of it, the main thing is to keep that idea of the history of it, which was as a loose box, a place where a horse would come in to, sleep as well. The original loose box had a lot of tongue and groove on the wall, so we've kept that.
Lucy's used a soft palette of teal tones to tie together the simplicity of the room. From the tongue and groove walls to the headboard and matching floor tiles.
This room is definitely one of the most authentic areas of the house. With the panelling, and this is obviously an original beam up here.
Old beams can be very dry. Wax or linseed oil diluted with white spirit will seal and protect them and bring back their original colour. This cosy bedroom is awash with natural light that floods in through the original stable windows and the new full-height patio door. Lucy's continued with the teal tones in the compact ensuite bathroom.
We've got these lovely sort of matte. Well, it's interesting because in the bedroom they look blue, and I think in this room, weirdly, they look more green.
And she's tied the two rooms together by using matching matte gold lights and bathroom fittings. While the new areas are awash with 21st century comforts, in the coach house's original sleeping quarters, Lucy's remained faithful to the building's history by preserving its historic beams. From the outset, Lucy's been passionate about making this home as eco-friendly as possible.
Sustainability has been a key feature of this project. Because of the location, we're not on a mains gas line. So in addition to the air source heat pump, we're putting in solar photovoltaic panels. The younger people are expecting us to step up now. We're in a position to put those features in place, and I think it's a well worth expense, particularly given the cost of energy bills at the moment. I think it's a decision we're definitely not going to regret.
The air source heat pump is tucked away at the back of the building next to the road. It's a great example of how modern technology can fit seamlessly into an historic property, and one of the many successes of this project. Delays sourcing materials and securing permissions for the solar roof tiles doubled the projected restoration time and added to Lucy's £130,000 estimated initial budget.
We've actually spent about £230,000. Well, I've had my few gulp moments. We were missing areas of paving and needed to find replacements. Had no idea how difficult it would be to find these things. Stuart was spending a huge amount of time looking for replacement stones. He found some, they were delivered. This was only like 3 days ago. I was quite driven at the start of the project because there was a real need to get my mother living closer to us. And so, to me, there was a great sense of urgency over the planning process and the design process. Obviously, circumstances change, and during the course of this, it was obvious that Mum would never live here. And so, in a way, that's made it a more relaxing process for me. And I don't stress out so much when deadlines slip away. I'm really proud of the fact that, you know, if you were somebody who'd driven past this house 18 months, 2 years ago, and drove past it today, you wouldn't necessarily know anything had changed. You come down the drive and the garage doors are still there. Okay, there's some lights in the roof here, and on the road there's a new window. But beyond that, I think we've kept the essence of the property the same, and yet the amount of space that we've added to this property is fantastic. And it's given us a room here that you can live how people want to live now. A kitchen that you can, you know, cook in with your family, with your friends, and sit and relax, enjoy the view.